Hello, today's date is January 31st, 2015, and it's about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the name of this video is Why MGTOW despises TFL, or more specifically, why the Men Going Their Own Way movement or awareness despises the True Force Loneliness crowd. A lot of you have known me from back in 2008. I used to work with Bill Greathouse. I was one of the kind of co-founders of True Force Loneliness. I wasn't really a founder, but I had watched Bill's videos back in late 2007-8, and I did a series of my own, which I don't have anymore online here. But I wanted to talk about this because, obviously a lot has evolved since TFL. The number one thing that's evolved is there's more awareness of men's issues on the internet, particularly the YouTube community. And I wanted to address this because this has been on. I've been seeing a lot of these. What's happened since TFL. What's been addressed is what's called the men's rights movement. Then the name changed over to the men's rights human movement, men's rights human rights movement, MHRA or MRHA or whatever, men's rights. I forget they call it the human rights movement now. And then of course there's MGTOW, as Men Going Their Own Way. And if for those who are a little bit new to TFL, I just want to say TFL is basically the premise that a man looks desperately for a woman in his life but can't get one by no choice of his own. Therefore he's forced to live a life of loneliness or involuntary loneliness, hence the term True Force Loneliness. And MGTOW is Men Going Their Own Way, saying to society, go to hell, we're just going to do our own thing, we don't need women. And then of course in between that group is the men's rights, human rights activists, which say that we think men are being treated rotten, but we're willing to work within the system through legislation and get this all done. And and then we love women, yada yada yada. Okay, I'm not going to try to re-educate people in one 15 or 20-minute video. I may have to take this to 2 videos because I only have 15 minutes per video. The first thing I want to start out by saying is that I think that there's a big misunderstanding here. And I'm a little bit angry about this, so I'm just going to spew at the top of my lungs why I'm angry about this. I won't use any bad language here on this video. But the reason I'm upset is because a lot of the people in the MGTOW or the Men Going Their Own Way that have done videos on TFL have always done a disparaging thing, or expose on TFL. They say that guys that are living TFL are just whiny losers, that are social misfits that can't get women, and we MGTOWs are no different than them, and we're better than them because we're going our own way and we don't need female validation. And I'm here to tell you something. If it wasn't for TFL, you would not be MGTOW. I'm going to say this again, and it's going to piss most of you off. Probably 80% of the guys that become MGTOW, Men Going Their Own Way, or self-identified MGTOWs, you are there only because you were a victim of TFL, True Force Loneliness. Which is to say that you tried to play the dating game, you tried to get yourself into the dating scene, and for some crazy reason you either had a girlfriend or your girlfriend left you. You tried to get back into the dating scene, you did the online personals, you realized it sucked, and then you went MGTOW. And I know this is hard to understand and swallow, but guys who call yourselves MGTOW, you better swallow your pride, because this is the reason you're at. Bill Greathouse did a phenomenal video sometime back, and I don't know if anybody's got it or if he's still got it on his site, but YouTube used to arbitrarily pull his videos down because he had so much cutting edge stuff about what was going on that I believe there were forces that were playing games with him, and people were flagging his account. But Bill had this really good video. It was called MGTOWs and MRAs or TFLers in Denial. And he couldn't have said it better. It is all about you people that go through the route of the Men Going Their Own Way are guys that realize that after living TFL, living a life of involuntary romanticism or celibacy — I hate that term, involuntary celibacy, but involuntary loneliness. Basically, they decide, what the hell's the use? I'm going out and spending money. I'm going out and going on the online personals, I'm, calling up old girlfriends, and I get treated with contempt. And so they go this route of MGTOW. MGTOW is an evolution from TFL, in my opinion. How do I know this for a fact? Well, I know there's a guy on here by the name of Stardust. You guys all know who he is. Back in 2012, he did a phenomenal series of non-face talking head videos where he didn't show his face. People forget that Stardust used to have a whole collection of videos where he would actually physically show his face on camera. And all of them dealt with his frustration with the dating scene. All of them dealt with his frustration with the online personals. Stardust, I don't know if he'll ever rehash this up, but Stardust is a perfect example of somebody who was living TFL or was experiencing the effects of TFL, but he decided that, you know what, I'll tell you what, I've gone down this road, I've done the online personals, I've done the foreign dating, right? And there was one video that he did, I remember watching, where he was talking about, this was back in, I think 2010. This was definitely a year before he did his other videos where he did the artwork, and he was talking about his foreign girlfriend, and he says, I love my foreign girlfriend, and then he was talking about how he still hated American women, but foreign women were the answer. Then a year later, he comes out with a video saying foreign women are no different than anybody else, and I'm here to tell you that if you think you're going to marry a foreign woman, my point is, Stardust was TFLer. All the way he was living TFL. He was living true forced loneliness. He was rejected in the dating scene. I'm not shaming him, because I myself, when I did my, in 2008, when I did my The Pussy Renaissance is Coming to an End video, I was totally frustrated with the dating scene. It is about being rejected by females. No guy likes it, but if you guys want to keep making videos disparaging TFLers and saying, well, it's about, and another guy who's another TFLer, and he's never going to show his face on camera, doesn't tell his name like I do, is a guy by the name of Sandman. This guy is like a rock star in the MGTOW community. He does these scripted canned videos. He speaks in a high voice. I'm thinking he's probably high-functioning autistic. He's probably got Asperger's, and again, I'm not trying to shame but here, because most of the Aspergian guys that I've run into, I've tried to do one of my Roller Steve show, were guys that read off a script. They could never articulate anything off the cuff. It was always just reading off of a script. So Sandman talks about his dating life and his past tribulations with it, and there's no doubt in my mind, if he's not a plant working for somebody, if he's not some robot, I have a strong sneaking suspicion that Sandman may very well be a TFLer. Oh, wait, he is a TFLer if he's a real person, there's no doubt. If he's a phony and a fraud, trying to hijack the movement, that's a totally different issue. But I don't want to get into conjecture here, because we can get into conjectures and conspiracy theories. I don't really want to get into that right now. All I want to say is that I believe that Sandman is a TFLer. I believe that, and I know for a fact that Stardust is a TFLer, a true forced loneliness person at one time. And I'm also going to say that I'll even go as far to say that everyone's hero, bozo hero, Barbarossa, everything about it is about the dating scene. All his videos always complained about the early stuff before he took it down, complained about the dating scene. It's all about it. MGTOW starts like this, guys. It starts with you living a life of true forced loneliness. It's you trying to get girls to go out with you. It's you trying to get laid. It's you trying to do all of this stuff. It doesn't go your way, so you decide, I'm going to start looking at things, I'm going to start analyzing what's going on. And then what happens is you start to realize that it is a conspiracy in the sense that the media is rigged it this way. And of course there's the female nature to go along with it, but between female nature and the system that hypersexualizes us and all this combined, guys start to do the smart thing. After you've lived a life of TFL like I have, back and forth in my life, you start to analyze the corruption in the system. You start to realize that, hey, it's not my fault. It's not my fault at all. That there's something more to this female-male dynamic that meets the eye. So what do? Well, you go out there and you start to investigate these issues, and you realize that, hey, you know what? I've done everything I can to get a girlfriend. I've gone on the online personals. And then you start to realize that even if you have, here's another thing about MGTOW. MGTOW teaches you that even if you're not living TFL, or even if you were to not be living TFL, and let's say you had a girlfriend, you'd realize that the game is still rigged, because the court systems, you've got, alimony or palimony laws, you've got child support system that'll chase you to the end of the earth to get payments, and the list is endless. So I bring this up, guys, because I think that next time you see a MGTOW critiquing the TFL movement and saying these guys are just a bunch of whiny losers that can't get laid, that have Asperger's, that are socially awkward with women, you need to put your money where your mouth is. I got to commend Bill Greathouse for one thing. Whether or not you like his horrible diction and his English skills, the guy did address a real problem that exists in society and created a name for it. Now, I've got something I created a name for too. I'll talk about it in another video. But TFL, True Force Loneliness, was the precursor to your going your own way, or men going their own way. In fact, it was the precursor to the men's rights group. Most of your men's rights activists are really TFLers in denial also. They're not really, you don't think that they haven't been rejected in the dating scene, and in the marriage scene, seeing all these alpha, almost all MGTOWs focus on this whole thing about women and the hypersexuality of the alpha male and alpha, alpha F's, beta bucks, thing. They all focus on that same thing. So, like I said before, it is an issue that I'm not ashamed to talk about this issue at all. If anybody wants to leave comments on this video, fine. I'm going to do more of these, but I had to get my face on this camera. I hope I can see that my light's not very clear here. I'm kind of in a dark area here, but no, I mean, I don't mind doing even a follow-up to the follow-ups to this video, because I think that if anybody wants to criticize TFL and say, well, I'm a man going my own way, you need to look at your real motivations why you became a MGTOW. I mean, admit I'm a MGTOW, or I identify with MGTOW mainly because I was frustrated with the dating scene, and still am. But I'm actually so, I'm being a marathon runner and having, like I said, I've told people this, I joke, I say I have the sex drive of a 90-year-old man on his deathbed now. I run so many miles a week now, I'm over 100 miles a week, that I don't have time to be concerned about, this issue right now. It's just not a major issue with me having a girlfriend, and I got other personal stuff on my plate right now I don't care to get into. But I am definitely a person that admits that my whole reasoning for becoming MGTOW or identifying is because of TFL. We all have, and if you want to deny it, that's fine. If Stardust wants to follow up with this video and say that he was never a TFLer, he psychoanalyzed all the other stuff beforehand, he's lying. I've seen his videos. I've seen his videos 3, 4, or 5 years ago where he would get on video and he would complain incessantly about the dating scene. Constantly, it was about the dating scene and women. That's all it was. And then finally he branched out. Somewhere along the line, he decided to pull his face videos offline and decided to do these pictorial videos with just his voice, and sometimes musical background, sometimes they were even scripted, and where he would actually, he started identifying other problems with mating and dating. And I think Stardust is the first, probably one of the best MGTOWs to put all of this into a more definitive package rather than just say it's a bunch of lonely guys. He was able to put everything together, like quoting Briefo's law. I thought that was a brilliant video, because I would have never heard of Briefo if it wasn't for Stardust, and I would have never, done a lot of this. But he spoke things that I inherently kind of knew, but was too afraid to admit. And hearing him say it, it kind of just reaffirmed some things of mine, ideas that I had. I think he's, again, I don't want to get into arguing with other YouTubers out there, but I do want to say that there's no doubt in my mind Barbarossa was a TFLer, is or was a TFLer. Stardust is a TFLer all the way. Sandman, if he's a real person, not a plant, he's a TFLer. And the list goes on of all these people criticizing the TFL movement. TFL is real. It is a real phenomenon. It is a phenomenon of guys that have tried their best to find a good woman in their life, but because the way the system is structured, because of the fact that women are about looks, women are about social status, because they're about money, not all, but let's face it, most women out there today just won't settle for an average guy. An average-looking woman will simply not settle. Okay, I'm running out of time here. I may take this to a part 2, but as January the 31st, 2015.